So before you sit there and say, oh my God, thank God I don't live in California, I want you to think about the final line by Gavin Newsom, because I believe it's prophetic. As California goes, so goes the nation. Our conversations today are going to be, what do they want for this nation, and how do we see that through what's happening in California? I want you to take this very seriously, because what we are seeing in California and what we talk about today, you must realize, is what is happening inside of every governor's office, inside of every Senate office, congressional office. The largest, most powerful lobby in Washington is pharma, and we are seeing what they want for this nation take place in California. To give you a sense of it, 10 bad bills were released just over the last couple of weeks. There's this great brochure put out by PERK, which is Protection of the Educational Rights of Kids. Let's go through the list of these 10 bad bills, shall we? Here they are. SB 871 requires all children 0 to 17 to get the COVID-19 vaccine. SB 866 lowers the age of consent to age 12. SB 920 authorizes the medical board to inspect a doctor's office and records without patient's consent, violating HIPAA laws. SB 1464 forces law enforcement officials to enforce public health orders even if they oppose them. SB 1479 requires schools to continue COVID testing. SB 1390 censors any social media platform that posts dissenting information that contradicts the government narrative. SB 1184 changes the California Medical Privacy Act to authorize a healthcare provider or service plan to disclose your child's medical information to a school-linked services coordinator without parental consent. 8B 1797 makes changes to the California Immunization Record Database for government agencies to have access to all vaccine records in addition to just students. AB 1993 requires all employees, including independent contractors, to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination. And AB 2098 classifies the sharing of COVID-19 medical opinion by doctors and surgeons, contrary to the CDC narrative, as misinformation and as unprofessional conduct that would result in disciplinary action. A total military takeover of the state based on your health records that were once yours, the decisions for your body and your children that were once yours, all on the chopping block. Well, that great letter or brochure that was put out by PERK, PERK is doing such amazing work. We've had the leader, Amy Bohn, on before, but for those of you that missed that episode, here is one of the greatest gifts to California, Amy Bohn. Take a look at this.
And joining us now is Amy Bohn, the president of PERK.
Give it up for Amy Bohn. Is that not an incredible woman?
We're willing to put everything on the line to fight to protect not only our children, but all of the children in California.
So we are going to defeat those vaccine passports. We are going to take back our country. We are going to fight with everything we've got. We came out swinging with a lot of punches. We filed 6 lawsuits in California.
They were planning to ban and kick out over 35,000 children at the beginning of January if they didn't have the COVID shot. Filing a USD lawsuit really held the line on that, and they ended up delaying and suspending that mandate until the fall.
By asking you to stand with us and do whatever it takes to stand with your first responders, with your city employees, with your heroes. If you ever feel alone and wonder if you can do this, know that you are not alone. You are a part of a global movement that is not going to stop.
You know, this issue is broader and bigger than just any one group that we kind of like to separate ourselves into. It's about freedom and liberty.
We shall defend our land, our children, our lives. We shall never, ever surrender.
Well, Amy Bohn and PERK, probably one of the only nonprofits giving us a run for our money on the amount of lawsuit wins taking place in the United States of America. It's my honor to be joined by Amy now. Amy, welcome to the High Wire once again.
Glad to be here.
It's great. It's really great to have you. So first, I was looking at this list. It's incredible. Just when really we all thought it's safe to go home, we can get back to business as usual. Clearly, they're trying to lock down California forever. Now, when we first talked about having you on, this was, the 10 bad bills was this leaflet that you put out with PERK, but it's not 10 anymore. Can you tell me where we're at right now and why that number has changed?
Right. Okay. So right now, these are the most extreme bills that we've seen across the entire country.
Okay.
And having 10, that's a lot all in one time.
Yeah.
So to start with, we have one that we think we've killed. Now,
Okay.
it can come back, but it's the one that was going to require the COVID shot on all employees and contract workers across the entire state.
Okay.
So that was going to be a mandate. And that one's AB 1993.
Okay, AB 1993. Let me strike that one off for the moment, not permanently. We should be careful. But so how does that happen? What happens? I saw that it was defeated, but I had been talking to you. I saw the headlines were defeated. We can't. It's not defeated. We can't trust that language.
Right. So what's happened so far is that the bill author has put a hold on the bill, so it's on pause. The co-author of the bill has removed basically her endorsement of the bill and her name off the bill as well.
Okay.
So we have two public statements, one from the author and the co-author, that this bill is on hold, on pause, and it doesn't look like it's going to be moving forward. However, we do know some of the legislative tricks. So it could come back. So, it could come back between now and the end of session in the form of.
And when is the end of session? Just so we think about
well,
that.
We're looking at, so you've got September. So you've got the legislative season essentially, but we're watching this one especially till about May.
Okay.
So watching it till just before the summertime. But if it comes back, they could try to bring it back in basically a cleanup bill, which is a trailer bill. And that, if they do that, the whole purpose of that is to remove the public from knowing what's going on. It doesn't have to go to committees if it comes back through a trailer bill. And it's something that they do to not be as transparent. So it's to kind of go through some loopholes to try to get around. So right now, I mean, we're really confident that we've got it, but we still have to be vigilant just in case they try to bring it back. So now the reason why we are victorious with this is because all of the California organizations, the freedom groups, firefighters, you name it, everybody has been unified to defeat these bills.
Right.
So it's been a tremendous effort with more than 80 plus, opposition letters that were submitted to the committee on this particular bill. And that's part of how I think we've won and are defeating that particular bill. So we still have to put the pressure on, be ready in case it comes back. It's not done until it's done.
But it's a sign truly that the confidence around some of these laws is not what they had hoped, right? And so is that one of the things you do? Do you go after co-authors of these bills and start, sort of saying, you're going to be in trouble if you want to get elected again? We are going to go out. We're going to put your name everywhere. Do you start really letting them know, don't stand with this bill any longer?
Oh, absolutely. One of the reasons why the co-author on this bill removed her name is because her local constituents put so much pressure on her that it was enough for her to step back.
Okay.
And I think that because they're going so far and it's so extreme with this whole packet of bills, this whole set of bills, that some of these legislators don't want the stigma. They don't want to be labeled as extreme and putting forward basically the worst bills that we've seen thus far in the entire country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a failed vaccine does not work. 4th, 5th boosters. I'm going to talk to Jeffrey Jackson about that later. The idea that you could not work still, not be employed, not have employees run a business in California without that vaccine just seems absolutely just this side of completely stupid. So any other bills that are knocked off yet or any that are wavering? So
I would say the next bill that, again, we have to keep the pressure on.
Yep.
So nothing's done until it's done and defeated. But SB 871, we've got a couple of things with that. As of right now.
So this is the one that requires children 0 to 17 to get the COVID vaccine. So this would basically be your average vaccine education bill.
Right. And it does a little more than just that, too. It removes the personal belief exemption. So basically there are no exemptions for children. And it's at the age of 0, basically 6-month-old and above would be required to have the COVID shot. So
now, is this the one, because you said personal belief exemption, and those of us that fled California, we fought SB 277. The personal belief exemption was what was removed. So why is this back again? Why is this personal belief exemption language in this bill?
Well, because during SB 277, the bill during 2015. The author, he looks at it as a loophole, which is ironic that the author of the very bill says it's a loophole, that there's a personal belief exemption for any additional vaccines that are added.
We're talking about Senator Richard Pan, who brought SB 277.
Right. Exactly. So they see it as a loophole that I don't think they realized it was there, perhaps. And then all of the freedom groups said, oh, guess what? We can have an exemption if you try to require
Well,
additional.
my understanding when we were there is that was one of the things that we're fighting for. So many groups, it's hard to name them all. I don't want to even start because I'll miss somebody. But all these groups, when we were pushing on SB 277, I believe that was one of the concessions. Like, if you're going to pass this, then at least you have to have, the person belief exemption for all new vaccines. That, you're saying that the current list of vaccines is safe, but we don't want to be subject to new ones. And so that was the concession was, okay, any new vaccines. Well, now COVID comes along, and now they are stuck with this, this piece of legislation that says any new vaccine has to have a personal belief exemption. And here's where they're trying to race it right out of the gate.
Right. And they're trying to make it so that they don't have to go through the legislative process anymore. So any vaccine, in addition to now, they're trying to make it so that the California Department of Public Health can add any more.
Wow.
Any more doses, any additional vaccines. They also, it looks to us as we've analyzed the bill, they're trying to get around the EUA status for children as well.
Wow.
And they put these little clauses in the bill. So they make it, this little phrase that they can follow the guidance of the CDC and ACIP and, these agencies. So they're trying to get around the EUA. We know that, and remove all exemptions, basically requiring it for 0 and above.
So basically, they want to continue this world we're living in where Tony Fauci's and health department officials we've never elected make the decisions on whether we can have an education, whether we can go out and have a job, whether we can walk and drive down the street, something that I think needs to be ended immediately. I think we all just saw the danger of giving health departments the level of power they've had through this. We can't unseat these people. We didn't vote them into office, and they seem to have more power than our governor, more power than the president of the United States. And here they want to cede even more power, so there's no legislative process. So that's a really bad one, SB 871. But you're saying obviously there's some political pushback, I think, in there.
There has been so much pushback from the entire state, just parents, people, everyone, that as of right now, that bill has not been set to be heard in any committees yet.
Okay.
And we have the commitment from several of the committee members, those legislators, that they're going to vote no, and that they are encouraging their colleagues to vote no too.
Okay.
So those are, conversations we're having behind closed doors. Everybody's really working hard, pushing hard on them.
Yeah.
Again, some of these officials, one of the committee members, she's actually trying to get elected for a different position as a board of supervisor in LA County. And by so doing, she wants her constituents to vote for her. And so, she's got skin in the game in a different area now. And I think she's trying to please those constituents. But the truth is that we're hearing from the legislators that there is so much power and so much of a force coming behind all of Californians uniting together that the legislators are scared. That's generally, I had a conversation just yesterday, and that was from one of the senators saying that these committee members, these Democrats, because they're the ones that typically are bringing these bills, are scared. And that means we're winning. That means the pushback is it's working. And that's why we're not seeing that bill being heard in a committee yet, because they don't have the votes.
It leads me to, part of what this show is about really is trying to get people to understand how important this rally coming up on April 10th is, the Defeat the Mandates. For the work that you do, you don't need a crowd around you. You're walking and you're having these conversations. But if we could put 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people into Grand Park, all standing together in unity against these mandates, how much easier do you think it makes you when you see the political climate right now? Does that have an effect on these politicians in California and really across the country when they see it? Because I really felt like we saw a real relaxing by the Biden administration on the mandates as soon as the DC rally, Defeat the Mandates, happened. I think they were so shocked, and all the news reported, wow, this is no longer some fringe group. This is a serious movement that needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, I think that the fact that the mandate rally and event is coming straight to the heart of California and in LA, where so many of these mandates and these things are being pushed right now, the people are tired of it. Californians are tired of it. West Coast, they are tired of these just draconian laws, the policies. People are losing their job, not because of any other reason other than they aren't testing or they're not getting the booster shot.
Right.
People that have gotten the vaccine are tired of this too. So we are hearing from the grassroots that just they're so done. And so to come together and by the tens of thousands, which I imagine it will be.
Yeah.
And to stand together in unity, black, white, different religions, all political backgrounds as well,
Right.
vaccinated, unvaccinated. It shows those policymakers at all levels, state, city, county, that the people are not going away. Like we're not moving, we're not budging. This force is a force to be reckoned with, and it is so strong. And so, yes, that is a symbol that we are all part of a global movement.
Yes.
California is waking up. It took a little bit of time, and it takes people being willing to say something and do something.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that everywhere. People that didn't even know about SB 277 or even any of these previous bills before the lockdown happened, they are starting new organizations and meeting with the Catholic faith leaders across the entire state. And that's an example of the momentum that we have, and that people are bringing that together. So being there together in person, I think it's going to be historic. Honestly, I cannot wait.
I know, I'm so pumped for it too. So let's look at, because one of your sort of areas of focus has really been law enforcement. You've been getting together with firefighters, police officers, sheriffs. They're really hanging in the balance right now. So this bill, the bill on law enforcement, forces law enforcement to basically uphold whatever health department mandate is out there. Again, these unelected officials now have a police force working for them to go, and as Garcetti said, arrest people. Like we want to go after you if you're breaking the rules. And so this law basically is going to say you have no way to opt out. How does law enforcement feel about this?
So I'm so glad you brought up that one, because yes, we have been working quite a bit with all law enforcement, sheriffs, police department, you name it. And not only are they standing in opposition to this, just to all of the, members of those communities, but in addition, the sheriffs are against this bill. The Sheriff Association statewide they are united. We just found this out yesterday, literally. They are uniting with the largest police officer union in the state, and they're going to be working together to oppose that particular bill. And we just found out yesterday as well that the legislators amended the bill, so it's even worse than what we thought. They're actually planning to cut funding from the law enforcement if they don't comply and enforce the health orders, and reallocate it to the health department.
Oh my God.
That's
unbelievable. Here it says the bill would, if funds are withheld, require those funds to instead be reallocated to our brand new government, the country public health department of the county in which the law enforcement agency operates for public health purposes. You can't, this is a science fiction movie is what we're talking about. The health departments want so much power now. They literally want to turn the police and sheriffs into their goons to go out and drag people out of their homes. And I remember here in Texas, there were several sheriffs in counties right around us saying, I will not enforce this. There was a curfew. There was our sheriff, one of the sheriffs, I think Hayes County, said, don't worry about it. Drive whenever you want. I am not pulling you over. None of our sheriffs are. Sheriff Villanueva was very outspoken in California saying, I am not upholding any of these laws or, that have to do with locking you down. That's not what our job is here. And of course, you've had this huge defund the police. So they're already strapped. They're already barely able to handle. And we're seeing all of the crime breaking in major cities and Los Angeles the same.
They're short staffed.
Yeah.
Across the entire state, both, firefighters, all first responders are short staffed because of the mandate policies. They are leaving, they're retiring early. They're transferring from one city or county to another that's a little bit less restrictive on the mandates.
Yeah.
So they're already dealing with very, very, burnout and short-staffed departments.
All on in double overtime. They're overtime all the time, right. I'm hearing, because they just don't have enough staff to cover things.
Exactly. And I actually think that this particular bill is kind of right in the face of the sheriffs like Sheriff Villanueva, who did not enforce these health orders and did not require. He respected his officers that they had could make this choice for themselves.
Yeah.
So there were thousands of people in the sheriff department who did not take the vaccine and he was not going to fire them. And so when you see bills like this, and even all the bills that we're talking about, these laws are trying to pass, this is their way to get around the lawsuits, to get around what they couldn't do.
Right. What didn't work. Right.
What
I mean, they didn't learn from this. They didn't say it didn't matter that the people hated this idea or that it really turned on us. They just thought we just didn't have enough power over the people to really force this all the way through. And now we've got to get that power. I mean, it's really incredibly shocking. And it's one, we've come into this issue with the rally. I've been working with the rally organizers. I mean, one of the issues is there enough sheriffs or enough police to handle a rally like we're doing? It's some of the conversations you helped out with over this weekend, bringing people. But, what I found interesting about the conversation is that there's this risk and fear that there's thousands more to be laid off in the public health agencies across the state, right?
Yes, exactly. So that's the thing is we have a lawsuit, one of our lawsuits, we have many.
Yes.
But one of our lawsuits is in LA County. And we filed that in October. And ever since October till now, it is what's been holding the line and stopping mass terminations. Now, we haven't been able to stop every person from not being terminated or suspended, but that's literally we're holding this wall with the lawsuit. So we know that they're actually trying to change the rules in the county and change ordinances and everything so they can lay everybody off. But it's mind-boggling that they're short-staffed and they want to fire more people. And I cannot make sense of this. But sometimes when people do stupid things, it's good for us with lawsuits.
Well, I mean, I think all of this has helped wake up enough people, and that's why I think this rally is going to be one of the biggest we've ever seen. We can't go through all of them. I have a huge show coming up, but SB 866, this lowers the age of consent to age 12. Now, I'm amazed I'm seeing this here because we just won the lawsuit. Our nonprofit, Informed Consent Action Network, won this lawsuit against the minor age of consent to vaccination. 11 years in Washington, D.C. It got passed. It got ratified. It was being, it was in action, and we fought and won. And I think part of what makes that lawsuit win so important was we won on the basis that it defies the 1986 Act, the parent's right to be informed, not just about the vaccination, be aware of it, but also of the VAERS system should their child be injured, of the VAERS court, the Vaccine Compensation Court, which is the whole point of the 1986 Act. If I'm not informed, if I don't know that my kid's in the hospital right now because they got a vaccine, then I'm not able to use the protections of the 86 Act. The judge then said this violates federal law, which that means that set precedent for every other state that's going to attempt this. Do you feel like our lawsuit is having any effect in the conversation inside of the state capitol in California?
Oh, absolutely. The second we saw your email, we were all just cheering, literally, because it does create that precedent that we can sue them if they try to pass this.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're in a good position either way. One of the co-authors of the bill has already removed her name from the bill, which again is a sign that they're feeling the pressure. What we're doing is working. The people pushing back, and I mean everyone, organizations, parents, you name it, just this collective push it's working. That's why you have authors pulling their name off. That doesn't just happen because they have an epiphany one night.
Right. It's not cool to be a co-author on it anymore. How many of these bills, when I look at them, 10 here, would involve Senator Richard Pan? I mean, I hate to make it like the one boogeyman, but it really feels like there's one guy that has just had this agenda. I've always believed that he is gunning. I think he wants to be a future Surgeon General for the country. I'm sure Pharma would love to get him there. How much is he involved in these bills? I mean, we see these other authors, but is it really a Senator Pan bill that somebody else is sticking their name on?
I think it's a combination. So definitely Senator Pan is all over these bills. He's got to be the initiator who set up the Vaccine Caucus, which is essentially 7 legislators that are all together in this, subgroup that are basically pushing forward these bills. So, but he's literally the author of multiple ones of these bills right here. So definitely, I think he's definitely behind it. And I think he's trying to leave this Vaccine Caucus, this working group that will continue vaccine bills forward after he leaves office, because he terms out this, at the end of this particular term. So, but I think he's going so far. The other legislators, his colleagues, they don't like it. They don't like the pushback from the public. They don't like that he's doing so many so fast. And we're hearing behind the scenes those types of conversations. They're tired of it. The legislators themselves have COVID fatigue, and they're tired of these types of bills. And I think some of them have gotten a little wiser that, again, the parents and the people in California, we're not going away. We're not running away. We're going to stand and fight the bills. So, but I do
What's
think
the
it's
worst
all-
one when you look at what's left? I mean, I think 866 is going to be wavering because of the work that we did. 871 has been pulled. I mean, 1993 has been pulled. The children's vaccine is wavering and trying to take away the personal belief. But what is one in here that you would say we should draw attention to and be looking out for in other states?
I think, okay, so the children ones are definitely the ones I think that are the worst.
Yeah.
But I would say I've actually been doing a little more research, my team has, into SB 1390, which is one that is kind of off people's radar a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's essentially set up to censor anybody on social media for whatever they deem as misinformation. And that includes any kind of vaccine misinformation, political stuff, elections, conspiracy theories.
This bill, here's what it says. This bill would provide that harmful content includes libel or slander or, as specified, threats of imminent violence against governmental entities, because, yeah, that's happening, and disinformation or misinformation, including but not limited to false or misleading information regarding medicine or vaccinations, false or misleading information regarding elections and conspiracy theories. I mean, I read that, or elections and conspiracy theories. I mean, I remember the dangling Chad. I mean, I'm a lifelong Democrat, like that dangling Chad, Al Gore.
Right.
I mean, how many Democrats, every single news station. Now, are we saying we're going to live in a time where it's going to be illegal to challenge the other party or whoever's in office and say, I'd like to see that vote. I'd like to see how you're counting those cards. So we're not allowed. We just have got to assume that the elections are perfectly safe and honorable. And if we question it, now we're conspiracy theorists and a threat to the nation and need to be censored.
Right. And this is basically, if you disagree with the government or the government's narrative, state, local, federal, then that can be deemed misinformation. So you pull away. I mean, this is not just censoring people. This is leading towards, honestly, my opinion, towards totalitarianism, towards a type of policing type state where you can't go anywhere. You can't say what you want. You can't think. You have to be controlled in every way. So I think that's a really, really bad bill.
Yeah.
That's kind of off people's radar. I mean, overall, these bills in general, they're anti-education bills. They're, anti-speech bills. They're anti-doctor bills. They're anti-labor bills. They're at the heart of what makes us even human, to be able to live, breathe, work, choose what goes into our body. These are all the antithesis of that, of being, just being in society. So I think that, and they all go together too. You can see this thread of removing parents out of their children's decisions, removing parental consent.
Yeah.
And then also these are basically vaccinate everybody in California with the COVID vaccine. That's what 871.
And not just one. I mean, nobody's done. I mean, nobody that did it, that complied, is done. I mean, I'm looking at, I have friends in Hollywood. They're like, wait, I got the 2 shots. Now the 3 shot, I got to get a 3rd shot. I'm not allowed back on set. I mean, this is what happens. This is a slippery slope. We're going to talk, with Jeffrey in a little bit. 5 vaccines now for some groups of people. I mean, so I'm never off this treadmill. There's never enough compliance. And this is what is so terrifying. So as we look at California, Gavin Newsom says, as California goes, so goes the nation. Is California, do you feel like that's the testing ground of what they really want for the rest of the nation? Is that what we're watching here?
Most definitely. We have seen pilot programs coming in through the schools. The vaccine passport, for example, the first idea or, hint that we had that this is an issue was actually because of the schools, because they were trying to create a daily pass through Microsoft Daily Pass so kids could go back to school in LAUSD, and they had to have, their phone would scan them in,
Yeah.
right? So I definitely have seen the writing on the wall that California is a pilot program. Like, what they're doing there is coming to a state near you, near anybody.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for us to fight, because they're testing California. They're
Right.
testing some of the more liberal areas, trying to push it as far as they can go. But the thing that's funny about California is there are so many people that are more moderate and balanced. It's just that those who hold the decision seat, the policymakers, the lawmakers, they're the ones that are going too far and too extreme. I mean, the people themselves in California are smart. They're incredible, they're brave, and they're ready to take this on. But it is definitely a pilot state, I think.
Well, I mean, this is where I'm at. I mean, I think Gavin Newsom's right. As California goes, so goes the nation. So as California fails at this, so fails the nation. So why it's so important. I'm looking forward to being on the stage with you. April 10th is going to be an amazing event. As I said before, you were leaving Texas and heading to California. I was leaving California, heading to Texas. So we traded out. I think it was a good trade. You have been amazing in California. So keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dal. Thank you for having me on and talking about this. It's so important.
You
I'm
bet.
glad to be here.
Thank you for joining me. All right, I'm going to throw a curveball at my team right now. I want you to queue up the Defeat the Mandates rally video, because here's what I want to say right now. It's all about California, and it's all happening in California. There's a lot of people that are saying, well, why are we rallying now? We've won. The pandemic is over. We have not won. We have won when bills like this are never, ever thought about, that they're embarrassed to even mention it or ever having had their names on it. That's what this rally is all about in California. We need to make sure that the people that try to do this to us, to use our law enforcement as goons, to work for health department officials that have nothing better to do than try and force their hypochondria on us. If we can make this fail in California, we can make it fail everywhere. It is so important that we all be there. I'm going to be there. There's a bunch of stars that are lining up to be there. We're going to start mentioning some of them. We've got Jimmy Levy, musicians. It's going to be a rock concert. You should see the size of these jumbotrons that are going to be there. But if you miss DC, this one's bigger, but this is Defeat the Mandate.
This is the example of what you get when you choose to attack all members of the human family. This is what you get when you decide to go after a person's child. And I have to make it very clear that they really didn't expect all of this.
Thousands from across the country rallied today in Washington, D.C.
for a rally against COVID-19 mandates.
The message for many on Sunday was not anti-vaccines, but the right to choose.
Thank all of you for coming out today and to stand up for our children,
our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren.
The determination to preserve medical freedom is in your hands.
We're fighting for ourselves, our patients, and all of you. We are fighting against Big Pharma. They have always put profits before patients.
Here in the United States, really, it's going to be black people who really should get it first.
To my African-American brothers and sisters, the vaccine that you're going to take was developed by an African-American woman.
As an African-American, I come here as one of the most vaccine-hesitant groups.
If you choose to take the vaccination, then you take it. We should have a choice.
The vaccine passports and the vaccine mandates take us back to the days of segregation.
It's back to the slave passports. Are you free or you're not free? You can't go here if you're not free, or you're clean or not clean.
I'm tired of these people that sit in the White House that stimulate race wars.
We're going to come together and we're going to fight these mandates together.
Tired that we are being experimented on.
We have all been deceived.
I'm tired that we are being manipulated.
They used our artists. They used our athletes, our singers, our rappers.
Celebrities are under a tremendous amount of pressure because they use celebrities to control the black community.
Shout out to We the People. Oh yeah, I forgot they made that phrase racist too.
But as you see in the audience, those who are Muslims, Christians, those in the Jewish community, Democrats, Republicans, white, black, everyone all in between, this is the example that they do not want to see, but they have no choice.
This mall is so beautiful. Look at all of you. Look at you. The world sees us.
We are 17,000 doctors.
We are the last beacon of hope. We will not stop fighting for truth and for life.
I believe in you.
Are we ready to reclaim the dream? Now the people rise up.
Let's reclaim our country.
The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose. It will defend itself.
So exciting. You can just feel like the energy as we count down to that date. I'm telling you, if you miss this event, you are going to be kicking yourself. This is going to be historic. They will reference this moment in time when we showed the world how big we really were. And this is not going to just affect decisions on bills in California. This is going to affect the votes that are happening across this nation in 2022. You need to be there. You need to be part of this. If you believe in this, if you want to stand for something. For some of you, it's spring break. I want to ask you, if you decide not to show up in California, well, it's spring break. How about if you never get a spring break again? When was your last spring break? How was your Christmas break during the COVID pandemic? Because we have got to stop this stuff. We've got to stop it now. I didn't have the opportunity to really get some attention on PERK and the fact that they need your donations. They are doing incredible work. They are winning lawsuits. So go to www.perk-group.com and donate now. Lawsuits are expensive, and Amy and her team are bringing powerful, successful lawsuits with a great team of lawyers there. So proud of the work she does, but she doesn't do it for free. She doesn't do it alone. She needs your help. So please support PERK when you have the opportunity.